Hi, this is Mark News from Plant Talk Radio. Thanks for subscribing and listening to our Plant of the Week podcast, brought to you by Bonide Products, family made in America. Visit Bonide.com to find a retailer near you. Each week, Plant Talk Radio's Fred Hauer focuses on a plant that would be a great addition to your landscape. Now for this week's Bonide Products Plant of the Week. Time for the Franklin Park Conservatory Plant of the Week, brought to you by Bonide. And Fred, your plants of the week.
Right. There's an S on the end again. There are so many things happening right now, and some of them are of multiple interest and kind of following through then on the idea of things for shade. Arum. I have mentioned arum, I think, each of the last several years. Arum is a bulb plant. It is very much akin to the Jack in the Pulpit. It's a woodland plant. It's also a garden plant. It is not invasive, but it does move around a little bit. Right now, the leaves are brand fresh and looking just wonderful. I checked my little patch of it yesterday. Flower stems, stalks, the hooded fruit is up and looking good. Right now, it's just a pale green with a shroud around it, which let's just say explains it in part. That looks good against the green leaves and so on. On the ground, probably a foot high, maybe a touch more on an established plant group, and so on. Then I have mentioned, I think several weeks ago, the Kerria, Kerria. It's a plant that won't be easy to find, and at the same time, it's not rare. It is in bloom. It has been in bloom. I think this is the fourth week. It is, a group, I think, about 35 feet long. It stands in the range of 8 feet high and 6 to 8 feet wide. I could make it narrower or shorter if I wish to prune it. But for my purpose, it runs up a border. It blocks off the back of some buildings behind me. They're not at all ugly. I just don't want to look at them. And then we go, and it's a brilliant yellow. There is a single-petaled variety and a double-petaled variety. And then we come to one called Deutzia. And I think over time, I've probably mentioned it too. It is hiding under the Kerria, those two plants then are hiding under a big Austrian pine. So when it comes to developing flowers in shade, it's quite appropriate to try that. It's white. A cluster flower or a cluster of flowers. There are 3 sizes of Deutzia for all practical purposes. There's one that stays around 12 inches tall. Then there's one that hits about 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. And then one that goes from 4 feet on up to maybe 6. Again, what the idea of trying to talk about things for shade when some people think there's all lost. Not so. Shade is a credible place to think about. It develops over a period of time with the aging of the property and then needs plants for some color in those areas.
Thanks again for listening to our podcast, brought to you by Bonide Products at Bonide.com. Plant Talk Radio offers other podcasts as well, including our daily Your Gardening Question podcast and our weekly Plant Talk Radio, all available on iTunes or your preferred podcast player. If you have a plant suggestion for Fred, send him an email, fred@planttalkradio.com.